Hello, students, and welcome to week 2. This is your lesson 2 student resource video. Let's begin with what's due this week. With McGraw-Hill Connect, you have the reading and writing as complementary processes, writer's reader's purpose, audience and tone, writer's reader's purpose, diction and vocabulary, and your week 2 quiz. In Moodle, you have discussion question 1, main post, discussion question 1, peer responses. You must do 3. Discussion question 2, main post. Discussion question 2, peer responses. Again, you must do 3. And this week you will begin your course project. You have course project 1. Let's begin with the McGraw-Hill Connect Week 2 assignments. Make sure that the Delta pretest is completed before moving on to Week 2 assignments. You should have completed the Delta pretest in Week 1. If your pretest score was below 85%, make sure that you have completed the Foundational Success assignment. If you have completed the pretest and the Foundational Success, if you were required to do so, you're now ready to move on to week 2. So the first thing you want to do is click on the McGraw-Hill Connect week 2 assignment link. Once you get into McGraw-Hill Connect, you want to begin week 2 with the readings and lectures. The readings and lectures will give you information that you need to complete the assignments. Anytime that you see a world icon next to a topic, that means that there's an external link like a YouTube video or a website. Anytime you see a book icon next to a topic link, that means that it's a page in your online book. So you want to click on these, view these 2 videos, and then read these pages in your online book before moving on to your actual assignments. If you are a note taker, you can take notes on this information. You can either write it on paper or you may have a Word document open and type in your notes so that you can use them when you complete your assignments. The actual assignments, you will click on the drop down that says Week 2 assignments, and that will open up what you need to do. The first thing is a Learn Smart Achieve student walkthrough. I encourage you to watch this video because it explains how the actual Learn Smart Achieve assignments work. These are the Learn Smart Achieve assignments. They start with an A. It's called Learn Smart Achieve because it is a program that is designed to help you learn based on your style of learning and your speed. So the program is adaptive, meaning as you answer each question, the next questions adapt to how you answered that previous question and how you felt about it. Progress in these assignments is based on mastery. The questions adjust while you learn, and then once you have mastered the objective, you have completed the assignment. These assignments are going to be 100% grades in your gradebook if you get them completed to progress mastery. So these are assignments that you will complete with progress, mastering the objectives. You have 3 assignments for this week, and once they're completed, that will be 3 100s in your grade book, and then you'll have your week 2 quiz, and your week 2 quiz grade will be the actual grade that you make. Once you click on the assignment title, you'll be taken to this page, and you'll notice at the very top there are 5 tutorials. One is explaining what is Learn Smart Achieve. The other is how is my learning organized? What is a learning resource? How do I track my progress? And how do I get the most out of my study time? Um, Go ahead and watch these. They're very short tutorials, and it will help you understand how this program works. Once you've viewed the tutorial videos, click Learn to move forward. The next screen that you will see will have a list of assignments, but the assignment that you selected will be in bold print and have a green um, colored number. So that's the assignment that you will do. Now, you don't want to just start clicking these. You want to complete them in the order they are, that they appear in the folders on the home screen, because that way the program is set up so that you can learn in a coherent manner rather than in a random selection manner. So after you've clicked on the actual assignment, you'll be taken to this introductory screen. The deadline here is the last day of the course. That's not the deadline for or the due date for your assignment. Please make sure that you are looking at the assignment due date chart in the instructor announcements. The deadline is the date that the actual assignment will close, and that's the end of the term. This is not your due date. Your due dates are posted in the instructor announcements. Once you've read that, you can go to continue to move on. You will then be taken to the beginning of your assignment. You'll see this young lady here. She's a learning assistant. She can read what's in this box right here for you, or you can mute her if you prefer not to. Your study session box tells you the objective that you are learning and all of the sub-objectives that you will be learning. At the very bottom, this is a progress bar. This is very important. This tells you how close you are to mastering the objectives, and you have not completed this assignment until this progress bar says 100%. Now, it does not count how many questions you complete. It counts how close you are to mastering these objectives. Okay? Here's an example of one of the questions that you may have to answer. You're asked here to read the passage and then answer the question here, and then choose a box to show how comfortable you are with your answer. This is very important because understanding if you know an answer or if you are unsure about an answer will help you to determine how to study, and also helps the program to adapt to your comfort level. Once you've made this selection, then you will hit submit your answer. If you are working and you run out of time, the assignments can be saved. You can click Leave Assignment and your work will be saved. Now, if this box closes in and you don't see it, you'll always see these three lines here. Just click those three lines. This box will open again and you can click Leave Assignment. The assignments you can leave and come back to. Now let's return to Moodle and take a look at your Moodle requirements. To complete your Moodle requirements, you have to do your discussion forum questions and your course project. Let's talk about discussion question 1. The prompt says, writing doesn't happen without an audience. That audience can be a future employer, as is the case with your resume, or it can be your friends, such as posts on social media. As you begin to think about writing and the audiences for whom you will write, please answer the following questions. What are some of the types of writing you have done in the past or currently do? Describe what writing you do or have done and what audiences that writing was for. Number 2, how would you change your writing if you were writing a story for a member of your family, a friend, a teacher, or an employer? Why do you think you might change the way you write or word your thoughts based on your audience? So let's think about this discussion question. First of all, we realize that it deals with audience, which is directly related to your course project. What you're asked to do is to think about some of the types of writing you do or have done in the past. Now, this is not just talking about writing you do for school. It could be writing you do for your career, for your job. It could be social or personal writing. For instance, some of the writing that I do is I make lists. I make shopping lists, I make to-do lists. That is writing. So you're to think about the types of writing that you do now or the types of writing that you've done in the past. Then think about the audiences that you write for or have written for in the past. For instance, if you chose writing for social media, the audience would be your friends. If you post something on Instagram or on um, Twitter, people who follow you. For a to-do list, I am my own audience. You're also going to think about how your perception of your audience affects your writing choices. Now, when we write something, we always think about our audience. We may not consciously do it, but if I'm writing a to-do list for myself, I have my own personal little shortcuts that I use. But if I'm writing a list to send with to a grocery list for someone else, then I'm going to be more specific. I like a particular brand of something, I'm going to write the brand name. If I'm writing that list for myself, I won't. I made a choice based on my perception of my audience. I decided how much background information the audience needed. And you do that as well when you're writing. So you're going to be thinking about how your perception of your audience, and the audience is who's reading your writing, how your perception of that audience is how it affects your writing choices. How does it affect your word choice? How does it affect how much background information you need? How does it affect how it's organized? If I'm writing something for directions for my husband, then I'm going to organize it so that I'm naming streets. But if I'm writing out directions for my daughter, I'm going to organize it so that I'm naming different locations, things that she can see, landmarks. Okay, so those are our perceptions of my audience that affect my writing choices. You're also going to think about how you would change a story that's written for a family member if you wanted to present it to a friend or if you wanted to present it to a teacher or to an employer. How would that story change? You wouldn't present the exact same story. We naturally change things based on our audience. And for this discussion question, you're going to think about those changes that we do naturally. So, with all that thinking, what should your main post look like? Well, it should be a well thought out paragraph that, first of all, describes the writing you currently do or have done in the past and the audience you were writing for. And then in that same paragraph, you want to explain also how you would change a story that you had written for a family member if you wanted to present it to a friend or a teacher or an employer. And then you also want to explain why you make changes based on your perceptions of your audience. Now, this says a well thought out paragraph, but if it makes you more comfortable to respond to each of these questions in a separate paragraph, that's fine. You can also respond to them all in a single paragraph. The key is that you answer each of the discussion question prompts, um, that you answer it in your main post. Remember, your main post is, as a general rule, due by Wednesday. Make sure you post it soon so that your classmates can do their responses sooner. Let's talk about discussion question 2. The prompt reads, purpose, audience, and tone. When writing anything, whether it is an essay, poem, or novel, how you say something is just as important as what you say. The content of written works is shaped by purpose, audience, and tone. In academic writing, it is essential to know who will be reading your essay and why in order to determine which words to use and how to arrange the outline of an essay. Use the internet and the library to research the importance of developing good writing skills. Select three sources from your research and share the following information about each. 1. Identify each of the sources, including the author, the title of the work, and where you found them. 2. Describe the tone of the writing. Is it very informal, highly formal, or somewhere in between? And explain how you made the determination. 3. Identify the audience who would read this type of writing. And 4. Explain the context presented in the writing, including the purpose or reason for the writing, why it was written, and what message it was meant to communicate. So, there are lots of things to think about. First of all, the focus of this discussion question is purpose, audience, and tone. So, to start with, you'll need to research the topic, the importance of developing good writing skills. Then you will select three articles from your research to analyze. There'll be a bunch that come up, but you're going to choose three of them that you want to analyze for your discussion prompt. Make note of the author, title, and location of each article. Think about the tone and the audience the writer intended to read the article. Think about the context of the article. Now, context is the background information behind the article. It is what is the author's motivation for writing it? What happened that made this writer think, I think I'll write this article? What is the author's purpose for writing it? Is the author trying to entertain, to inform, to persuade, or to describe something? And what is the author's intended message? What does the author want you to walk away from reading that article thinking? It I like to think of authors as being the most manipulative people on earth. Whenever an author sits down to write, in that person's mind is the idea that they want to make their reader think or feel a certain way. They want the reader to get a message, so they manipulate their language, they manipulate their descriptions, their details, they manipulate everything in order to make you, the reader, think or feel the way that the author wants you to think or feel. So when you are analyzing texts, when you're analyzing articles that you've read, think about what is the author doing to make you think or feel a certain way. That is how you will get your background information, your context information, and you'll also begin to recognize different things about writer's tone and the writer's choices. So, what should your discussion question to post look like? Well, it's going to be four short paragraphs. You'll have four short paragraphs. A short paragraph is 3 or 4 sentences. So the first one will be a paragraph that identifies the author, title, and location of each article. By location, you want to include the URL, and if it is in a journal or in a newspaper, please include the title of the journal or newspaper or web page. The second short paragraph describes the tone of each of the articles and explains how you determine the tone. You can determine the tone based on the choice of words that are used. If they're words that are used mainly in a professional setting, or if they're words that are used mainly in a social setting, you determine. And then your third short paragraph will identify who would read each of these articles. Who is the audience? Who was this article written for? And then finally, a short paragraph that explains the context or background for each article. And you should include the purpose, the author's motivation, and the intended message for that. And when you're thinking about author's motivation, think about things like you may read editorial in a newspaper, and you can tell by the tone and the language in the editorial that the writer was very angry about something. Or maybe you read an article in a magazine and you can tell based on the language and the details and the description that this writer was very excited about something they tried and they want to share with everyone. Those are the types of motivations that you're looking for when you're thinking about the author's motivation. What is this author trying to do? Is it trying to get you to see the importance of academic writing or good writing skills or sharing an experience? What is the author doing? What was the motivation for that particular writing? Let's talk about course project number part one. It says, have you ever wondered why instructors give you so many written assignments? The answer is because writing helps you develop in many ways. In your course project, you will work on creating your own essay about the importance of developing good writing skills. In this lesson, you will be exploring themes for your course project. You have a couple different ways to approach this topic. Your options are research the significance of writing skills in your current or future profession, or research the benefits of effective academic writing. Using the information you gather during your research, choose the option you prefer to develop an essay for your course project. Remember, your course project is one fully developed essay that is written in multiple steps. Make sure that your topic is narrowed down so that you can begin to generate supporting ideas about the importance of writing. For lesson two, submit a summary paragraph introducing the approach to the topic you've selected and your rationale for the selection. Number two, a summary paragraph describing the intended audience for your essay and how the audience affects other pre-writing considerations. Number three, a summary paragraph explaining the tone you plan to use for this written assignment and why. Number four, a summary paragraph indicating the types of supporting content you will look for to support your thesis statement. And number five, any questions or concerns that you have regarding your topic, the details you need, research, or etc. So you can do some preliminary research to see which approach will give you the most options as far as articles to choose from. You can choose either to write about the significance of writing skills in your current or future profession. For example, if you are in phlebotomy, what would be the importance? Why would writing skills be important in that career field? If you are in the truck driving program, how are writing skills important in that field? Of course, if you're in paralegal, how are writing skills important there? If you want to do the importance of writing skills in your current or future profession, I would suggest that you do some preliminary research, Google what types of writing is done, what types of writing are done in that particular field, and then see what you come up with. And then from there, you can continue your research to find out why it's important to have good writing skills in that particular career. Approach number two is to research the benefits of effective academic writing. And that is pretty self explanatory. You want to find out why it's important to write well in the academic setting, in college, in graduate school. Why is it important? So before you move on, the first thing you have to do is choose either approach one or approach two. Once you make that selection, that is where you will continue for the rest of your paper. You will only do one. You're not going to do both. You're going to do one, and that's the approach that you'll follow for the remainder of the paper. So what should you turn in? You're going to turn in 4 short paragraphs and then any additional questions that you may have. Your first short paragraph will be 3 or 4 sentences that identify the approach and your rationale for selecting that approach. Is it approach number one, where you talk about the significance of writing skills in your profession? Or is it approach number two, where you talk about the benefits of effective academic writing? You identify your approach and why you selected it. Paragraph number two, a short paragraph that identifies the intended audience and how the audience affects pre-writing choices, the organization, the diction, the background, the information. Now, it's okay if you want to make your instructor your intended audience, but this assignment would be so much more beneficial for you if you were to create an imaginary audience. So let's say you were writing about the importance of um, writing skills in your career. Your intended audience could be a person who is trying to decide on a career. It could be a person who is going to be a supervisor in a particular career. It could be high school students. Try to be creative and think of an intended audience who's different than just your instructor. The same thing for effective academic writing. It could be a high school student, it could be an elementary school student, it could be someone who is from another country who wants to attend school in the United States. Think of some creative intended audiences. The third short paragraph is one that identifies the tone you plan to use and the reason you plan to use that tone. And then the fourth short paragraph will identify the types of supporting evidence you will use. Anecdotes, which are short stories, could be statistics, could be examples. What are the details that you will include in your paper? And then finally, you will include any questions or concerns that you have about the beginning of your course project. So I hope that this video has been effective and helpful for you in completing lesson number 2. If you have any questions, be sure to reach out to your instructors. We're here to assist you.